from the studios of Real Life Matters with your incredible host, DBoss, as she brings you entertainment, fashion, music, and interviews right here live at Real Life Matters. And here we go. Sit back and relax, cause we good to go. And we about to hit you off with the TV show. And we keeping it live, and we keep it brand new. And now we about to hit you with the interview. Yeah, we keeping it real, and we put it on the platter. What we talking about? Real Life Matters. Certified, never taking a loss. And here's your host, DBoss.
Welcome, everybody, to another great episode of Real Life Matters. And of course, I am your host, DBoss. And we're just here. I'm telling you, if you're up here in up north, and the summer, we all trying to soak in every bit of warmth that you can, because when it goes, we might get a little bit of the Indian native summer, what they call it here in October, November, but you just never know. And everybody's getting ready for back to school and all this stuff, so the stores are crammed in wherever you are. It went very quickly, because I can't believe that we were in August. But, anyways, we got got somebody special here for you today. And he's an author, a speaker, and he has a podcast. So we're going to get into it with him, with all what he did, what he wished he could have did better, that he knew now that he didn't know back then, and stuff like that. So we're going to get right into it there with Audley Stephenson.
Hey, Eva, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
All right. Well, here we like to know everybody's culture and where they come from, their background.
Sure. I'm Canadian born. My parents emigrated from Jamaica in the 70s. And I was birthed here, but I embraced the Jamaican culture because it is my own.
All right. So where in Jamaica? Because people.
So so a lot of my family was in Kingston, but many have left now, so I don't have as much there as I used to. And as some get older, and a lot have moved to the States. But I still have my favorite Uncle Donald. He's still in Kingston, Jamaica. So shout out Uncle Donald.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to break you down today and figure out what all these, because you do so many different things. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about, you have a show called Living Your Best Audacious Life. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so that's actually the title of my book. The book is called Living Your Best Audacious Life Ever. And it's actually built off of everything that I've been doing in the podcasting space for the last 6 years I've had this podcast. And so just sort of the tail end of so in 2020, we all know what happened. The pandemic all left us with that feeling of loss and trying to figure out and navigate the world. And and I was no different. And I had this tremendous sense of loss. Back then, I was the commissioner of a basketball league. I've always been a basketball fan and loved the game. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to actually work with a professional league here in Canada called the National Basketball League of Canada. We were on the verge, and anyone who follows sports, basketball specifically, the most exciting time is going into the playoffs. And we were probably about a week before entering the playoffs when the plug got pulled and everything stopped, and no mass gatherings and no hanging out with people and stay indoors. We
lost 3 years of our life like that.
Man, yeah, we did, and I don't want to try and open up old wounds for people or anything like that, but it was not a fun time, and I found myself, and in fact, DBoss, I'll tell you the funny thing. I remember there were some days where I just couldn't get out of bed, and I felt lethargic, and I had low energy, and I've been always a high energy, upbeat guy, so the thought never entered my mind that I was going through a state of depression, because that's foreign to me. I don't understand that concept, but I was. And that was really eye-opening. And I remember vividly, I was in a conversation with a friend of mine, and I said, ever since I lost basketball, and as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, that's the problem. I don't have the thing that I love anymore. And the moment, and I think it's so important for us to be able to pinpoint and identify something, at least for me, it's like, okay, great. Now I get a problem-solving mode. Okay, so now what can I do? And I decided that, you know what? Probably the quickest thing for me to jump into is podcasting. Now, I first entered the podcasting space in 2008. So it wasn't foreign to me. And I had taken a couple years off. In fact, the first podcast I started, being a basketball guy, I started an NBA podcast. So at that time I was interviewing players in the locker rooms, Kobe, LeBron, the biggest names at that time, legends now. And so podcasting isn't new to me. And so I said, okay, let me jump back in that space again. And I started to think about, what do you want to talk about? What matters to you? What is important to you? And I really did this analysis. I did this analysis of my life where I kind of looked back and I said, well, here's all my wins and my successes and my victories and all the great things I've done. And what I noticed, there was this red thread of this thing called Audacity. I didn't really realize it in the moment, but it was like, wait a second, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have gotten there. And if I didn't go there, I wouldn't have gotten here. But the thing that made me go from one point to the next was this thing called Audacity. And that's what I kind of doubled down to, really wanted to lean into this thing called Audacity. We all have it inside of us. It motivates us, it pushes us, but we don't all unlock it. And so then I started this journey of embarking on this podcast called the Audacious Living Podcast, where we encourage individuals to live their best audacious lives. And that was 6 years ago. We are about 700 episodes and counting, and really enjoying the ride, and really, again, doubling down on this thing called Audacity. And so the book called, Living Your Best Audacious Life, it's fitting, right? So the book is called Living Your Best Audacious Life.
That's why it comes in, it's so much audacious.
That's right. And so the book really is an extension of so many of the conversations that we've had. And you would know this, DBoss, because when you have the opportunity and the privilege to be exposed to so many people that offer so many insights, you're learning and you're gaining information, and you're developing and seeing the world in different perspectives. And so I really wanted to be able to take some of the things that I've learned. So the book is sort of a three-part, three pillars, if you will. It's some incredible lessons from amazing podcast guests who are authors and experts and leaders and entrepreneurs, and taking their life lessons, their learnings, the things they've experienced in their own lives. So it's stories from those individuals and those lessons. I also encompass personal stories from my life, because I realized that now, while I wouldn't package my life as tragic or I've had these terrible things happen to me. It's, I think I've done okay, but by and large, there were still lessons I was able to walk away with. And so there's lessons from my life, podcast guests that have lots to share with me. So lessons from them, and then also some frameworks that I developed, and we can talk about a couple of them later on, but frameworks that helping other people understand this thing called Audacity. So that's a little bit of my journey and kind of how I got to the place that I am now.
Well, and how long did it take you to put this book together? And I guess because the book and the show kind of go hand in hand. That's what I'm thinking.
So they do now, but I will tell you, I probably 6 or 7 years ago, I thought about writing a book. So even before the podcast got started up, I wanted to write. I felt that I had something to share. The problem is, at that time, I didn't necessarily have the focus. I just knew I had something I wanted to share, and so I could remember vividly, making some notes, and I remember I'll put this in my book, and I'll put this story in my book, and I'll talk about that story, and so different thing I wanted to share, and then it sort of got shelved for a little bit, so it didn't really go anywhere. And then this podcasting journey started, and as I got deeper in the podcast, I go, wow, these are some and I'm telling you. And again, DBoss, you probably can relate to this, but like my eyes were blown open every single conversation I had. I'm like, wow, that's so cool, or wow, I didn't know that, or thank you. And so it was while I was going through that process, like, I want to be able to share some of the stuff. And then I revisited what I started in my book, and I said, maybe there's a way I can marry the two together to tell a full story. So it's not a biography of Audley Stephenson, part memoir, if you will.
Documentary.
Exactly. So I would say it's 6 or 7 years in the making, the short answer to your question.
6 or 7 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's a long time. But it's okay. So do you think that the book that you're writing, could go to like be a movie or?
It wasn't written as such. I think that maybe there's aspects of it, stories, like for example, I talked about, my parents immigrated to Canada in the 70s. Well, when my parents got here, they had some marital troubles and they ended up splitting up. So, the last time I saw my father, I was 6 months old, and I went through my entire life with no there was no pictures of him, no images of him. I didn't know what he looked like. My mother didn't know where he was. It was a mystery, if you will. And the only thing that I had that I carried with him was my first name, because I'm actually Audley Jr. So I had this man's first name, but I didn't know who the man was. And outside of the stories that my mom shared about him, she didn't disparage him in any way. She actually always spoke exceptionally about, particularly about his work ethic. And sometimes, West Indians would go, "Oh, hey, look, you sound like your father." I would come up every so often too, right? But yeah, that was kind of it. And it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I received a message from Red Cross. And so Red Cross at the time had a service where they connect lost family members. And so they reached out to me and said, and I remember the message vividly, they said, one of your natural parents is looking for you. And so my father's not even in my line of thinking. I called my mom and said, "Hey, what's up? I got a message, you wanted to talk to me. What's going on?" Not thinking that it was possibly my father, but it was. And we connected and we met. And I want to say, so one of the themes I talk about in the book is kind of the roots of my audacity. And I look to both of my parents. I go, that both individually, they're very, very audacious in terms of how they approach the world and challenges and their viewpoint on life. And I use this example of my father in the book because, and if you think about it for a second, he reached out to a son that he didn't know, that was a stranger to him. He had no idea how I would receive him. He had no idea if I was resentful, angry, bitter, none of those things. But he reached out anyways, right? And that's essentially the premise of being audacious, that you're okay with stepping into this space of uncertainty. And he did. And I've always been appreciative of the fact that he had done that. I didn't feel like I was missing or lacked in my life. I felt my mother provided me so much that I was satisfied. So I didn't feel like my childhood was, missing or anything of that nature. And so, I received him with open arms, and we developed a relationship, and we started to learn one another. And one of those things that I learned as we were developing a relationship, that his motivation for looking for his son was he was facing his own mortality. He was quite ill, and he knew he didn't have a whole lot of time left. And from the time that we met until the end was about a window of about 3.5 years, and then he was gone. So I knew my father for 3.5 years, but I say though that I learned so much from him, both from his absence as well as his presence, because him being absent taught me about the kind of father I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up for my children. But in his presence, he also taught me that it's never too late. Like, DBoss, how often do we go, well, I'm not going to bother doing that because too much time has passed or it doesn't make sense. And his example and his action showed me and taught me that there's no such thing as too much water under the bridge when it comes to mending relationships or reaching out to people or connecting. As long as we got breath in our bodies and we're here on this earth, we always can reach out. And so that was sort of, I think a powerful, I don't know if that's movie worthy. I don't know if that will make the big screen or not, but certainly it was very dramatic in my life.
Okay. All right. So I can see like you're a hype man.
A little bit of one. I have a little bit of energy for sure.
If anybody wants to get hyped up, get Audley.
I got you.
Boom, boom. You feeling down?
Come check me. I got you.
Okay. All right. So tell us about your speaking. You say you do some kind of motivational or stuff.
Yeah. And so what this journey is taught me to understand is that audacity is a thing that we all have inside of us. And so when I talk about living your best audacious life, it's living the life that was designed for you. And so often, or too often, we hold ourselves back. Maybe we say we're afraid, and we don't want to fail, or we don't know what's around the corner, so we don't go. And when you're embracing your audacious self, you're stepping into the unknown. Martin Luther King Jr. has a quote where he talks about taking that first step when you can't see the entire staircase, right? But you go anyways, and you go trusting that either you'll figure it out, or you'll understand better, or the space that you're stepping into is good for you. And so for me, I always want, this is sort of the messages I look to encourage audiences, because this thing called audacity, it's inside every single one of us, right? It's not reserved for special individuals, elite athletes or CEOs and nothing like that. Every single one of us have it.
And I got the audacity to tell me that.
Yeah, there you go. I oftentimes say like if life was a big racetrack, we are cars on a racetrack, and audacity is the engine inside of our cars. So we all have it. All of us. And so those are some of the things I really encourage audience.
It's an emotion, and audacity is emotion, and you express yourself.
That's right. And what sometimes happens is individuals they misunderstand what audacity is. So they're like, okay, well, if I'm not doing something big like skydiving or climbing a mountain or biking across the country, I'm not being audacious. And while those things are big audacious acts, no question about it, the quiet confidence that it takes to maybe speak up in a room when everyone else has a different opinion, or maybe to take a stand. My father's actions were quiet in that. It wasn't a big thing. He didn't go and say, hey, where's my son? He stepped into it and said, look, I want to find my son. And so audacity doesn't have to be big. That's one of the things I really, really want to remind people, that we all have it, just a matter of having the courage. And that's the big part about this, to step into that audacious space that's yours.
Well, some people are probably in it more than others.
Yes. That means they've had a lot of practice, DBoss. That's a lot of practice, being audacious.
And maybe because we do TV and stuff, we are always in it. So for us, we don't really think. We're not really thinking, well, we're doing something audacious. We're just thinking something. Well, we're just doing something bold and sharp and moving forward or something. That's all the same.
And let me ask you this, because I think this is perfect conversation here. So is there ever a time that you're about to start something or do something and you're nervous, you're afraid, you're unsure of yourself?
Yeah, sometimes.
There we go. But you do it anyways. Yeah. Right? That's audacity.
Well,
right?
we had an experience. With this experience I had, I was for people they know, I was one of the community and the TV sponsors for Miss Universe Canada, and that is a whole different beast in itself.
I can imagine.
Anybody that has not been in a pageant or done something like that, you cannot compare it to anything. And you come out a different, stronger,
yes,
and passionate and more individual. Like you're like, oh my gosh, nothing. Yeah. If anybody screams and yells and jumps around at me, oh well.
Yes,
they'll get over it.
That's right. And that's what experience does, right? Like you go through something, like we do hard stuff all the time. And I think what happens is we don't always give ourselves credit for the things that we've done. So I'll give you an example. I remember once I was going on this, I don't know what took me, I don't know where it came from, but I wanted a bike ride to Niagara Falls, and I'm in the Toronto area. What? So I got on my bike and I'm bike riding. It is, believe me. I don't know if I'm doing it again anytime soon, but I did it because I just wanted to challenge myself. And I was about 3/4 of the way of the trip through. And I remember getting to this one hill. It was a really big hill. I looked at the hill and I said, I can't do this. I'm done. And I was totally done. But as I'm talking, and this is where we have to be careful of the things that we say to ourselves. Because as I'm saying this, I'm going, wait a second. how many hills do you think you passed through to get to this one, right? Those hills were hard too, but you did them. So don't say you can't do it. Maybe say you're tired. Maybe you say you've got low energy. Maybe you say you're exhausted. And those things are easy to remedy. You just take a rest. But don't tell yourself.
Really hot when you did that day?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Oh man.
No, but it wasn't hot. The weather.
Yes. Oh, Oh, yeah. It was in summer. It was like August time, and it was hot. It was hot. I was tired, and so yeah. But to say I can't do it, I'm lying to myself because I already went through a whole bunch of hills to get to that one, right? And so this is where we have to give ourselves credit for the things that we do, because what that does is it gives us energy and motivation for the next challenge in front of us. So. You experienced that, right? You did the pageant.
There's a lot of challenges, I'm telling you, that you face.
Yes.
And even, some challenges also, a lot of people don't know. When you have the guest on, some of them haven't been maybe exposed to TV and they're not exposed. And you have to kind of like tell them, okay, well, don't look like.
Don't look afraid. Don't like to
breathe.
Right.
Breathe. And you got to tell them that before you get on, because some of them are just like, and then some of them can't remember their name. And, they don't realize when they're doing public speaking, it's different. But when you're on TV, it's different, so some people say, oh, well, I can speak so well. Yeah, but you don't, when the camera's not on and you're like, there's someone that don't even know your name. Like, excuse me.
Oh boy. No, I get it.
And what's protocol? And people think that TV doesn't have protocol, but they do. We do.
Sure.
Certain things you do, you have to know what you're doing. So it's just not, you can just run something. Okay, if you're doing something for your house or whatever, it's okay. But when you're doing TV, you have a lot of different protocols, and some people don't understand that there are protocols and regulations you have to follow. Or they're calling they're calling the station.
It's true. No, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Spoken with clearly you've had a lot of experience. Clearly.
We're gonna call Audley here because he said something, or he had some strange thing talking about, and we don't agree with.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, you're absolutely correct, DBoss. You're absolutely correct.
So you do so many things. So you wrote this book. Are you going to write something else?
So it's so funny that you asked that. Literally like 2 days ago, I started outlining the framework for my next book. And I remember as I'm going, wait a second. The book that you have now, which it releases December the 1st. So it's available now like on Amazon and online for pre-order, right? So people can pre-order it now and it comes out December 1st. So I'm going, wait a second. You haven't even got your December 1st book out, but you're already into the next one. And it was just that the moments, the ideas, the thoughts, the things that I wish I'd put in the first one, I'm going to put them in the second one.
Okay. So it's like a sequel to it?
No, it's not a sequel. It's a sequel in the sense it's a continuance of the ideas, but it's not a part two. It's not a part two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know if something's a part 2 or a part 3, or because some people because sometimes your life is like that, right? So just
that's right, depends. Absolutely. Well, the other thing that happens the other thing that happens in life, like there's other things that happen because we haven't stopped living, right? So I'll write a book today and tell you all the things that happen to me, but there's still tomorrow, next week, and next year, and I'm sure there's lessons to be learned there too, right? And so I would imagine that there will be some new things because my life still continues to include in the book. But yeah, it's not a part 2 though, for sure.
No, it stops. It stops.
In fact, if you look over my shoulder there, that's the cover. That's the cover. Living Your Best Audacious Life Ever, and the subtitle is called is How Unleashing Your Inner Greatness Can Change the World. And it was really, really important for me to include that because the part in all this is about impact. I'm really about impact and positive impact. I want to say that really about positive impact. And so I truly, truly believe that if we step into our audacious selves, if we unleash our inner greatness, it has the ability to positively impact others. And when you positively impact others, we all talk about how messed up this world is and all the problems. And quite frankly, if you want to change the world, you start with yourself. And if I look to make sure my actions are positive, or I'm smiling, or I'm helping people, or I'm trying to be a difference maker, those positive ripples can go out to others. And that's how you change the world.
All right. So who did your cover for you? Who designed it?
I have a publisher that I work with. I work with Morgan James Publishing. They're based out of the U.S. and we went back and forth quite a bit on sort of concepts, ideas, and I love working with them because I basically said, "Here's my vision. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's the impact I wanted to have," and they came back. There was a few design options, but they came back with a final one. I'm like, "You nailed it. That's the one." So yes.
And how many pages is the book?
Just under 200, so it's a really good read. It's not like a War and Peace where there's hundreds and hundreds of volumes or nothing like that. But I think about 220 is a page count, so it's a good read. Okay. It's meant to be something that's light, is not heavy, and it's very conversational. So in fact, the way I'm speaking now, you'll get that same impression in the book.
Well, that's interesting. Well, and also, are you going to have an audible version?
Yeah, there'll definitely be an e-version or an audiobook as well that comes out. The intent is I'm going to read it, so you're going to hear my voice, right? And I'll be reading my story to you. And so
or somebody else to put
no, I'm not using Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, no. Snoop Dogg isn't telling my life story. I'll tell my own. Thank you very much. That's funny.
I'm just, you know what I'm thinking in my head? It's not even a match. Yeah?
No, not at all. Not at all. No AI generated voice, no Snoop Dogg. It's just all me. It'll be all me, I promise.
Well, which is good, like it's because it's bringing your authentic, audacious self.
That's right.
Out.
That's right.
And you'll get and people will hear you, because some people don't. Maybe their voice isn't as good, but they can still use their voice. They can, touch it up in the back or something.
Yeah.
It's nothing like getting a real voice.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. You got it.
That knows how to pronounce things. Because sometimes you get these AI and they're saying, that's not how you.
Yes. AI needs a lot of work.
Like impossible or something like it's
right.
Like,
AI needs a lot of work still. We're not there yet. They need some work.
All right. Well, I know there's a lot. And so is there anybody you'd like to shout out that helped you along your journey and, with the book and stuff?
So I'll tell you why I appreciate that question so much, DBoss, because once upon a time, I used to subscribe to this theory. I was like the self-made man, and everything I did was by myself, and I needed no one's help for my achievements or my victories or my wonderful accomplishments. And I'm so glad I got out of that mindset and my frame of thinking, because we're not here by ourselves. No one achieves anything by themselves. They have they have people around them, even if it's someone who
one hand can't clap.
Pardon me?
One hand can't clap.
Yeah, no, you got it. Yes. Try that. It's not working, right? So you need others. Like if you do this, people are like, what's wrong with him? What's he doing, right? No, that's not. You need other people around you, and even if it's like a kind, because how many times have you someone said something as a kind word? Maybe it came at that right moment you were down, and you're like, oh, I need that upliftment. That's the help. That's helping you move forward. And so there's been countless people who've been integral to not only this book, but who I am in my journey and who I am as a man and as a father and as a partner and as a brother and as an uncle and as a cousin and all the roles I carry. I'm not here by myself. And so far too many to single out, that's for sure.
All right. Okay. So is there anyone else you want to shout out, or that's it?
Yeah, no, I mean, my family, my kids. I got 3 kids. My partner Vivian, my mom, my family, my siblings, everyone who's out there that's been by my side. All of you made a difference and helped me. So thank you. They're all in the book too. I mentioned every single one of them mentioned in the book.
All right.
Talk with my family.
So that's what's up next is for you is that. So are you okay? I know you say you're going to be writing a book. Is there anything else that you're going to be doing or working on?
Yeah, well, I'll continue the podcast because that's been a really important integral part of me. And I've got, like I said, I've got over 700 episodes. We produce lots and lots of content, and for those that are interested in connecting, the website is audaciouslife.com. You can go back through the entire archives. It's funny that my very, very first episode, all the way back when I go back to 2020, I had the Honorable Gene Augustine as my very first guest. Way back then. And I remember vividly having a conversation about Audacity with her. And I remember her go, well, I'm audacious. And that was my very first episode. That's how I got things going. And I've just had countless others since. And all of them has, again, been feeding back to this thing. Audacity is important to us. And so the podcast is never going to stop. That's always going to keep going. I'll always be a part of who I am. I'll always be speaking. I'll always be writing. I'm open to speaking to audiences and groups. And I've spoken to organizations and conferences. And so if anyone's interested in having an audacious speaker, I'm available for that as well. And I'll just keep pushing ahead. Yeah, that's it. You got to put the plug in.
All right. So they can find you. You already mentioned where they can find you. If you want to hire you to come out, they can do that. Yeah, people, you know what? Don't forget me too.
There you go. Big up yourself.
I guess it all depends. So, so you can reach you at the bestaudaciouslife.com.
That's it. You got it.
Okay. I
I'm also active on social media and Instagram. It's the Odd Man. So TheAudman, not ODD. So the Odd Man. And you can find me there on social media, or my name, Audley Stephenson, on all other platforms. But I'm active out there. I'm not hard to find.
Okay. The Odd Man. That sounds a bit, but it's not spelled ODD.
No, it's not. AUD. You got it.
AUD. All right. Well, Audley, it's been a pleasure having you here, telling us about your journey. And obviously, it's been a big one, and the journey continues. And, I welcome you to come back anytime, when you get your other book going and stuff like that, so we can have you up here. So it'll be something for you to come back and tell us about it. And when are you going to launch your book?
So the current book launches December 1st. It's available. Again, it's available for pre-order now, but December 1st is when the book is available for the rest of the world.
All right. Well, you hear that now, people. So get out there, follow him so you can keep, and when you read the book, give him comments, say what you like about it, what stood out to you. If something related to you, because that's what Audley wants to hear. So you guys just don't sit there and say you like it and click. You don't say nothing. So
that is helpful. Thank you for saying that.
All right. So everybody, I do want to thank you tuning in here with Audley Stephenson. And you guys, if you missed some of the stuff before, oh well, you're gonna have to go back. So we're gonna be living your best audacious life.
I love it. Right? That's awesome.
Good night, everybody. And bye for now.
All right, join us next time at Real Life Matters with your host, DBoss, as she brings you some more entertainment, fashion, music, and interviews right here on Real Life Matters. We got to go. Okay, that's it, we got to go. And we just hit you off with a TV show. And we kept it hot, and we kept it brand new. And we just hit you off with an interview. And we kept it real, and we put it on the platter. Talking about that real life matters. Certified, never taking a loss. And that was your host, DBoss.